now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Blackwell. Let me say Hotep of Oregoni to my Africana Studies colleagues, contemporaries, and searchers after the truth all. And let me hasten to say good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, certainly good night, and never ever goodbye, because I've always found goodbyes traumatizing. I say I have always found goodbyes traumatizing. My name is the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I am the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and we are located at 8916 South Main Street. We're being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, which is pastored by my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollins. We have one Lord, one faith, one baptism, and one service. So when you come, expect to be well received and be a blessing and be received as a blessing, and we trust you will be benefited. In fact, we know you'll be benefited before you leave the service. All right? All right. This offering that you are viewing is a social justice offering, which means we don't do so much of the hoopalistics, because we try to give more or less a bulletin board view of the happenings in our local area and also in the larger outside world. We probably try to emphasize the environmental and the economic aspects, because those affect all of us the most, regardless of our ethnicity or our culture. And while I'm on that, let me mention in the environmental piece that Norfolk Southern has agreed to pay $650 million, which is not 1 month's revenue for them. They make in the billions, and they have agreed to the cleanup, and to the monitoring of the water table and the groundwater for at least the foreseeable future. The problem is, when it gets to the next generation, you don't know what the politicians are going to rule or pass into law. But at least the poor people that lived so close to the railroad tracks where the train derailment, it was East Palestine, Ohio, last year, will get some help going forward. And Lord knows a poor man needs all the help that they can get. And so that is a somewhat of a relief. I like to say the devil is always in the detail, because what they give with one hand, they seem to take away with the other hand. And the environmental damage from that spill is incalculable at this point, and it's uncertain, because we knew there were toxic chemicals aboard that train when it derailed there in East Palestine, Ohio. And so we pray for the people there that they will be diligent, and by diligent I mean keep their eye on the ball and don't let these people off the hook for one instant, and don't let them have no relief. Make them live up to the letter of the law of that agreement, because when you start getting elderly, that's when all of these afflictions that started with inhaling all of those toxic chemicals will begin to make themselves known. And you don't want to be, well, you can't speak up for yourself, and you don't have nobody to speak up for you, or the person that's speaking up for you is doing all the damage to you and doing all the benefit to the railroad company. Hey, the railroad company don't need no benefit. And so stick to the script and hold their feet to the fire. Because like I said, $653 million is not even a month's worth of profit for those type of companies, monopolies. All right. Let us read these scriptures. Ephesians chapter 6. We're going to pick up our reading at verse number 10, simply for euphony's sake and for continuity's sake. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Verse number 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. All right. And our emphasis, as always, is on verses 11 and 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Emphasize the rulers of the darkness of this world. As always, some entity, some unseen, unknown, but yet sensed presence. The rulers of the darkness of this world. And by that very word, rulers, we know that it's somebody, that something or some person or some entity or organization that we cannot see and point our finger at and recognize that you are the source of this evil. But yet they are there. And of course, this brings us to a consideration of our corporations and our charters from the monarchies and the presidents, vice presidents, the titular heads, the Congress, and all of those bodies that, though not elected by us, their dealing, their decisions, their judgments affect us greatly. Case in point, in Texas, the SNAP program, which feeds the elderly and helps mothers with children, is going to be cut in by $2.29 billion. That's $2.29 billion. That means tens of millions of meals are going to just vanish in the next few days there in the state of Texas. And it's going to all across the state of Texas, really. And it's coming out of Washington, D.C., but it's going to take $2.29 billion out of the budget for the poor there in the state of Texas. If any of you had to have food stamps, you know how hard it is to get on food stamps, especially if you're single, and if you're a man, you can almost give up on it, because what they give you is so meager that you could give it back to them, and you wouldn't be hurting yourself. So that is what the whole nation is going to be faced with going forward. You remember during COVID, we had under the Biden administration, we got an influx, a surplus, an infusion in the form of a check. I know I got a check from the Biden administration. I think I got two checks, one for $1,200 and another one for $1,400. That money came in right handy. But now the government is taking all of that back because the COVID crisis is past. Problem is the timing. You're taking something away that the people need at a time when the election is coming up. And that is a problem. And I think the federal government should have thought more sensibly about eliminating such a needed and a valuable and helpful program, because that child credit that they passed. Now they're taking that away, and which means now the poor and the middle class will have to scramble for those funds to go to the doctor or the health clinic or wherever facilities that you are forced to go to with little children. And you know, all little children can have any type of an ailment, from a nosebleed on up to something more serious, and you got to go right away, because if you don't get them to the healthcare provider, then and something happens, and what the police going to do? They're going to accuse you of being a neglectful parent, and then that snowballs. And so the dangers of this type of the elimination of these types of programs at this needed time in this country is very well, let's say it's obvious, and you can see the train wreck coming this way. And so we have to hope that our federal leaders, the leaders of our federal government and the leaders of our state governments, even though in most of our states we have these ultra-conservatives in power who are not only trying to eliminate a woman's right to choose, but they are also eliminating a woman's right to feed her family. And so we are into some dangerous waters. And partly because the people that are writing the laws are elite. They don't have to live under the laws that they write. It's people like you and me that who are not elite, who are not in that aristocracy or that class. We're the ones who have to suffer under their rulings and their judgments. Case in point is this woman that was over the head of education. Name escapes me right now, but she was an advocate of private schools. So when she was over education, then quite naturally education suffered, because she didn't believe in public education. She wanted private education. That's why she made some money. And so you can see the conflict of interest right there, and can expand on where such conflicts could lead. Amen. All right. Now, let's talk about the bleach blonde, bad butch body of Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene that was highlighted by the representative from Texas, Jasmine Crockett, and Miss Greene was trying to throw some shade at Miss Crockett for them false eyelashes, but she come back, she got more than what she bargained for, as Miss Crockett began to look at the blacks showing off from under that blonde. You know, they used to have a statement that is the true blondes have more fun. And so, but naturally Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a bully on the up there in Washington, D.C. ever since she was up there. And she's not up there to represent her constituency. She's up there to represent and help Donald Trump in any way that she can. And this week, she got taken down a notch by talking about Miss Jasmine Crockett's false eyelashes. And you're not supposed to do ad hominem attack. That means attack another person of your committee personally. But Ms. Greene doesn't seem to abide by that those type of decorums or rules, and this time she got the better of it, the best of it. Well, she got the worst end of the deal this time, because Miss Crockett said, "Don't come for me," and she came back and called for a point of order and didn't call her Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene's name, but or reference what Ms. Greene said, but she asked for a point of order, clarification from the chair, and she launched into an ad hominem 6 B's, 5 B's attack. Bleach blonde, bad butch body. And you can supply the other word that she would have liked the other B word that she would have liked to have called Miss Margaret Taylor Greene, but she did follow the decorum. And not to mention AOC was biting her tongue to avoid using that other B word there in the Congress of the United States. But by the time the dust settled, Miss Greene had gotten the worst of it, got more than what she bargained for. As a matter of fact, Miss Crockett have since sent out a notice, don't come for me like that. Don't bully me and think you're going to get away with it. And so that committee was the chairman is a Mr. Goldman. I don't know what the committee is supposed to be doing, but they were having quite a brouhaha up there this week. And so now Miss Greene is the butt of the joke all around the world because the rappers quite naturally and hip hoppers have picked that up, and they are making, all of them are making songs, screeds, recordings with this modern AI. You can get a beat and everything all at once. And so Miss Greene got the worst of it this week. Miss Jasmine Crockett she was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but she got her doctorate of laws from the University of Houston, same university where a good friend of ours, Dr. Gerald Horn, is a teacher and a professor of history there in Houston, University of Houston. And so Miss Crockett has a law degree, and she was practicing law there in Texas, and she was doing a lot of her work pro bono, representing Black Lives Matter people who were indigent or couldn't afford those high attorney's fees to represent themselves there in the state of Texas. All right, and Miss Crockett won her seat fair and square. She was in the 100th district there in Texas, but then she ran when Miss Bernice Johnson declared that she was not going to run anymore. Then Miss Crockett declared that she wanted to get that seat, and to her credit, she was endorsed by Bernice Johnson, and she subsequently won the election fair and square. And she has another 2 years before she comes up for election again. And the way she is representing herself and her people, I think they're going to really look encouragingly at her in the next 2 years. Okay, I've already discussed the fact that the SNAP is going to has to be reauthorized, and it's going to be slashed because they have to balance the federal budget, and they always balance the federal budget on the backs of who? Why, the poor, those who can't strike back, who don't have a constituency or a lobby group to represent on their behalf. So this is what is and I said that because Ms. Crockett has happened to be on this supplemental nutrition and assistance program because she is on 7 committees and subcommittees there in the Congress of the United States of America. And while we're coming back on the Congress, the Supreme Court of this week okayed the South Carolina gerrymandered map that will further dilute the black vote in the state of Carolina and will divide black districts so that vote is diluted. And what that means is that some black people will be pushed over into another district or county, which is more Republican, and where the people over there are more Trumpitis, and that is going to dilute the black vote, because the black vote normally historically goes for a Democrat, where the white people historically go for a Republican. And so the Supreme Court says it was not based on race, it was based on politics. Well, as far as I know, politics has always been about race. And the what Dr. Gerald Horne calls the identity politics. And so I feel that this is going to create a problem going forward. And since this Supreme Court has set a precedent, then that the next Supreme Court would likely follow their lead. And so just like you had the Dred Scott decision and the Citizens United decision and the overthrow of Dobbs decision there, well, this will go along with that as being one of the low points, the nadirs of Supreme Court history. And they have no shame, it looks like. Samuel Alito has been caught red-handed with having a sign up outside on his house there, where he turned the flag upside down as a distress signal, saying that stop the steal. And yet he's ruling on Supreme Court cases that directly reference this stop the steal thing. As a matter of fact, one of the cases that they're ruling on involves Donald Trump, whether he can get immunity, absolute immunity, from prosecution for acts that he does while he's in the President of the United States. And of course, if Donald Trump gets back in this November, then all of those cases, charges that are against him, 81 counts at the last time I noted. No, it was 91 counts. To be specific, all of those charges will go away. They will be melted, and the DAs will be either voted out of office or demoted or removed from those cases if Donald Trump gets back in. And he's already said that he's going to pardon all of the January 6, 2021 insurrectionists, quite naturally, because they were up there at his orders and they were doing what he asked them to do. And so he's going to issue blanket pardon for all of that riffraff. And that is it's a travesty. It's a travesty of justice. But it's the American justice system, and it certainly wasn't built to protect me or to protect my rights, because at the formation of this nation, I had no rights. And all the laws were against me, or written, if not directly anti-beneficial to me, in their practice, they were certainly anti-beneficial to me. While I'm on that, thank God that Miss Marilyn Mosby, there who represented the state of Baltimore, she was the Attorney General for Baltimore, and that she has she's only get 1 year of house arrest. Thank you, sir. 5 minutes. 1 year of house arrest, 3 years of supervised probation, and she won't be able to, of course, run again because she's a convicted felon now. And what they convicted her on is things that all of us have to do on a house mortgage application. You have to lie. They held up, caught her in the lie, and they crucified her, and but she was able to escape being sent to prison for 40 years, which is a landmark in itself. Because if you know anything about the legal system all across this country, if you're black and you go before that judge, you're going to get the harshest punishment. So we thank God that Miss Marilyn Mosby was not committed to prison for the sake of her children and for her own sake too. And so she will be she's only being subjected to the aforementioned house probation and 3 years supervised probation and the like. So we thank God for that she dodged a bullet on that. Amen. And as I said when I first started talking, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the rulers of the darkness of this world. And that criminal justice system is being ruled by the rulers of the darkness of this world. And you watch, because when you go, you have to go before that system. You don't know how you're going to come out. From the time that a policeman pulls you over, you are in danger in this nation from the rulers of the darkness of this world. And yes, I'm calling the whole criminal justice system darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places, because one hand washes the other, and the only people getting crushed under this system are black people for the most part, because the system wasn't designed for our benefit. It was designed to keep us under control. To the legend on the side of the police car says to protect and to serve. And who are they protecting? Well, they're protecting the corporations. They're protecting the status quo, and all like that. And that's who they serve. And who they protect them from? Why they protect them from me? And they serve them in the furtherance of those type of sentiments and stigmata. And that is why we have to continue to fight in this country, in the legal realm, and try to be as peaceful as and nonviolent as Dr. King has commanded us. But we must still be vigilant, and we must call out wrong. While I'm on that, coming to a close here, hats off to D'Angelo Fletcher, who was valedictorian for Morehouse College, and I don't know if I could have had the nerve to say what he said with the President of the United States sitting behind you, ready to make some remarks. But he stood up and he said he called for a permanent ceasefire now, and God bless him for having that type of courage. Stand up before the President of the United States, the leader of the world, who is a full-throated Zionist and has already embraced Netanyahu and said his support for Israel is ironclad, and to call for a ceasefire in Gaza in that type of atmosphere, boy, he really has my admiration, because he really did a good job. All right, so again, as we get out of here, keep up your prayers, keep up your prayer life, be vigilant, be diligent, and whatever you do, if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, don't waste your life. Don't fall into the trap of going there every day, scrounging and scraping for chicken feed. If they don't want to pay you what you're worth, take my declared advice and don't work for them. Thank you, Doc. We out of here.